Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. Today we are tracking the cost of velocity. Grok AI is accelerating its global market share faster than any language model we've seen before, and that's forcing some immediate security concerns. Meanwhile, a global EV challenger is taking a massive calculated risk, and a new generation of deep tech is threatening to completely eat the legal framework around intellectual property.
It really is all about speed this morning, isn't it? But that speed, it always comes with a cost. Usually that's regulatory or financial. So we are specifically looking past the big announcements to figure out if this velocity is driven by, genuine utility or just sheer momentum. Our mission is to figure out who's actually going to make money from this and what specific regulatory or infrastructure nightmares these innovations might cause you next week.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving deep into the raw source material that's setting the tone for the market today. And we have to start with the biggest momentum story dominating the digital landscape, which is the truly explosive rise of Grok.
It's the lead story for a very good reason.
Right. So the news, and this was amplified directly by Elon Musk, shows Grok AI's search interest hitting an absolute record high. It's spiking to 100% relative interest on Google Trends. This isn't just hype or vanity metrics. It directly correlates with reported 20% month-over-month user growth. They're pushing 30 million active users as of December 2025. This isn't just another competitor anymore. It's becoming a dominant force.
And for me, it's the sheer velocity of the geographic penetration that really stands out. I mean, the data from @TeslaOwnersSV confirms Grok is now the #1 free iOS app in Finland.
In Finland.
And this surge isn't isolated. It's accelerating across at least 8 other European countries. And it's rapidly outpacing legacy models like ChatGPT and Gemini in daily downloads.
So if they are beating the incumbents that badly, what is the core appeal here? Why the rapid adoption?
I think it's twofold. First, the real-time access to X data. That's huge. And second, crucially, the widely advertised promise of witty, uncensored interactions. They've built a very clear differentiation against the guardrails that have been placed around their main competitors.
But that's a risk.
Exactly. And this is where the analyst angle kicks in. This raises a really important question for you, the investor. If the uncensored nature is the car market appeal, how long until that feature causes a massive public or regulatory backlash, forcing them to put on limitations? The faster they grow, the bigger the target on their back becomes for intervention. And any forced restriction risks killing the one thing that made them grow so fast in the first place.
That is a critical risk.
Right.
But it seems like they are not putting all their eggs in the chatbot basket. The knowledge base supporting Grok is also exploding. A post from @XFreeze reports that Grokopedia is now surpassing 4.8 million articles in under 3 months.
And that's not just an encyclopedia.
No, they're blending human and AI curation for what they're calling an anti-woke platform, reporting over 102,000 Grok-approved edits.
See, Grokopedia isn't just a knowledge source. It is a strategic move to create a massive, self-reinforcing data moat. And while there were, some initial concerns about content cloning from Wikipedia, the actual strategic play here is creating a knowledge engine that's constantly validated by real-time X data. This creates immense pressure on established sources like Wikipedia, and it forces their main AI competitors to constantly validate their own knowledge against this new, rapidly evolving source. It's a land grab for the definition of truth itself, and it's all funded by this real-time data flow.
Okay, so moving from that knowledge race to the deep tech that makes all this velocity possible, let's talk about models that are, truly solving problems. 11 Labs is claiming they have solved the problem of transcription with Scribe v2.
Solved is always a bit of a marketing term, but we do have to look at the metrics they're showing here.
They are claiming it is the most accurate model ever released. Jacintas calls it a breakthrough model for voice processing. Key features include the lowest word error rate on over 90 languages, context-aware key term prompting, and this is crucial, specialized versions. There's a real-time version, which offers 150 millisecond latency for AI agents, and a batch version, which handles large-scale compliance workloads like HIPAA and GDPR.
And what stands out there is the market demand for agents and for compliance efficiency. Real-time transcription is absolutely critical for AI agents, whether they're handling customer service or required compliance monitoring in finance or healthcare. They're claiming an accuracy of 95.7%.
95.7.
Which is it's vastly superior to a comparable model like GPT-4's reported 60.3% accuracy.
So that accuracy jumped from 60% to over 95. What does that actually mean for the high-volume regulated companies that are listening right now?
It means the irreversible commercial transition away from human transcription in those compliance-heavy industries. That level of accuracy is the difference between saving $1 million a year on human compliance review or, getting hit with a massive preventable fine. And while some early user feedback notes persistent errors in truly complex or noisy audio, the implication is clear. The technology is now cheaper and faster than human teams for vast swaths of industry. The problem isn't solved technically, perhaps, but commercially. It absolutely is.
That kind of efficiency is forcing disruption everywhere. So if 11 Labs is creating efficiency in audio, another tool is creating a huge intellectual property challenge for visuals and code. Let's talk about this React Grab tool.
This is a software landmine. A post from @defond is showing a tool that claims you can steal React components from any live website.
Steal them.
Yes, you get a one-to-one replication of styling, properties, and the underlying design system. It does this by accessing React Fiber's internal tree.
Accessing the internal tree. That sounds incredibly technical. What does that actually mean for the average developer or, a business owner?
It means the software isn't just eating the world anymore, it's eating the developer's intellectual property. React Fiber is it's essentially the underlying blueprint of the site, controlling how the UI updates. By accessing it, this tool just bypasses the need for the original source code. Now, this is great for fast prototyping, but when UI elements and entire design systems can be replicated instantly using LLM-powered code generation, intellectual property law is thrown into utter chaos. Who owns the design when the code can be instantly reproduced? That is a massive legal question that will define 2026.
And the arms race isn't just for IP, it's also for authenticity, which actually brings us back to audio. The shift is so intense that builders are now actively avoiding the polished perfection of tools like 11 Labs.
Exactly. The drive for realism is pushing into these really subtle audio nuances. A user at MO23 has a viral workflow to make AI videos, using newer models like Sora 2 and VO 3.1 that don't sound robotic.
How do they do that?
By processing the generated voices to mimic casual room acoustics. A slight echo, a little background noise, actively avoiding that highly polished studio sound. The data shows that synthetic voices can reduce short video engagement by over a third because they just sound unnatural. The arms race has fully shifted from maximizing accuracy to maximizing human authenticity.
Authenticity in voice, risk in code, velocity in AI. Let's move on to the market where hard assets and high-stakes infrastructure are meeting this new technological acceleration. Let's talk mobility, money, and the builders.
Yeah, we need to see if this builder ethos can extend beyond just pure software.
Let's start with global finance and the tokenization revolution. Swift posted a feature with Michael Spiegel of Standard Chartered. He declared a foundational shift, saying that tokenization is no longer experimental.
And this is Swift we're talking about.
Exactly. Swift, which connects 11,500 institutions worldwide, is now committing to linking tokenized networks across blockchains and jurisdictions. They're validating the technology for fiat integration and massive trade growth.
This is so significant because it's the incumbent banking system formally embracing the technology they once aggressively fought. Spiegel noted, they have to meet the market demand for always-on financial services, especially in emerging markets where secure instant transfers are just non-negotiable. And the second-order effect is immediately visible in the community. This is being viewed by XRP advocates as a massive validation for Ripple's cross-border token tech. Swift is building the critical rails for a new global standard. They realize instant secure transfers are now a prerequisite for growth.
Speaking of global expansion and new standards, the EV war just escalated. At XFang Motors announced the official global premiere and rollout of the 2026 P7 Plus Fastback sedan, and it's launching simultaneously in 36 markets, including Europe, where it will be produced from a plant in Austria. They're advertising a really impressive BEV range, up to 725 kilometers.
So XPeng is clearly positioning this as its flagship global rival to the Tesla Model 3 and the BYD Seal. They're loading it with intelligent tech, including the W HUD, that's their advanced heads-up display, and XPilot, their driver assistance suite. But here's the crucial context. While they advertise 725 kilometers, the immediate critiques are on pricing and, more importantly, the actual WLTP range. That's the standard European testing benchmark, and it shows the usable range is closer to 500 kilometers.
So an aggressive market expansion built on a range claim that is arguably inflated by the test cycle. That is a massive bet.
It's a huge high-stakes bet on both range and infrastructure. I mean, can they handle the simultaneous global production and the service requirements that come with supporting 36 different markets while maintaining that tech edge? They have the velocity for sure, but the scale and service demands are enormous challenges.
Okay, let's tie this momentum back to the larger sentiment that's shaping the builder class right now. At A16Z's posted a powerful, almost cinematic video called "It's Time to Build." It echoes Mark Andreessen's manifesto, and it's specifically rallying founders toward infrastructure and defense tech, which aligns with their American Dynamism Fund.
And the high engagement reflects a renewed optimism in the founder community. But the replies are already critiquing what they call slop startups. Companies that produce low-impact products designed purely for short-term VC returns. We need to see actual physical applications of this technology, not just more software eating software. And thankfully, we're seeing some of that in industries outside of just consumer tech.
So where are we seeing the real application of this build ethos?
In critical infrastructure, look at the viral thread from @PascalBurnett on AI-enhanced drones scanning bridges in minutes. This technology improves inspection accuracy by 40% through real-time AI image analysis. And critically, it cuts worker risk on dangerous high-altitude sites. That is tangible, real building, not just software abstraction.
That brings us to the creator economy and the culture shift driven by all these new tools. The promise of zero-effort creation is accelerating wildly, particularly in corporate communications. Google Docs just upgraded Google Vid's avatars with VO 3.1 for hyper-realistic lip syncing and natural expressions. And this is explicitly aimed at cutting corporate training video costs by a massive 70 to 80%, letting you create 1080p clips without ever needing a camera.
And this shift is what allows founders to be so opportunistic and move so fast. Look at the fascinating story of Alex Kuldev. After his AI nutrition tracker, Calorie Bar, was rejected by Apple, he leveraged the downtime to not just polish the product, but to immediately launch an AI influencer farm on TikTok. He hit 50,000 views on the very first post. The tools are there to turn rejection into immediate monetizable velocity.
But that velocity comes with an immediate and very painful cost, right? Scalability.
Exactly. The hype crashes hard against the cloud bill and infrastructure limitations. Take the example of Nicola Miranda's 3D Gaussian splatting app, which is powered by Apple's ML Sharp model. This tool lets users convert a single image into a fully rendered 3D model in seconds. It was a massive hit, but it immediately hit a 429 error. For those who aren't developers, a 429 error just means the server was overwhelmed. Too many requests. The rapid user traffic instantly exceeded the workspace billing limits on their cloud platform. The dream of hypervelocity growth hits the stark reality of infrastructure cost very, very quickly.
And amidst all this intense AI development and infrastructure building, sometimes you just need a story that grounds you in the human experience. National Geographic is promoting The Tale of Cillian, a documentary about a Macedonian farmer named Nicola rescuing an injured white stork. It explores the resilience of human-animal bonds and the struggle of rural life against economic hardship, a really necessary human counterpoint to all the digital acceleration we've discussed.
So what does this all mean for you, the learner? We saw an explosive, accelerating AI landscape where the software is actively eating UI components and finance infrastructure. The competition between Grok, ChatGPT, and Gemini, it's now officially a race for global market dominance and cultural mindshare, not just technical feature parity.
Yeah, the key takeaway is that the build ethos is absolutely real. It's moving from code replication to tokenizing global trade and deploying AI drone infrastructure. But the scalability hurdles and the legal landmines, especially around IP and safety, are proving to be just as real and just as immediate as the technological breakthroughs we're seeing today.
So given the sheer velocity of Grok's European market penetration and the critical security and compliance focus required by 11 Labs' real-time model for regulated industries, here is a provocative prediction for tomorrow. We are going to see a major, defensive, preemptive AI announcement from either Google or Apple this week. It will be focused entirely on a new security and compliance standard or a major infrastructure investment, not just feature parity. They have to respond to the market acceleration and the regulatory risks we saw today with a big defensive play.
That was the deep dive for the daily Vibecasting. We appreciate you tuning in.